Some people believe that silver and gold are weak investments. I beg to differ. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Stormy here. If you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy in a bucket talking about precious metals. So make sure you blast that subscribe button, get the bell notification clicked. That way you get updated with any new content. Today I wanted to talk about the term of investing as it relates to silver and gold, and in particular, how people say that silver and gold are weak investments. If you're into stacking silver and gold, you're basically buying the precious metals to hoard away, squirrel away your hard-earned money. You're putting it away to hedge against inflation, but you'll see some people in the comments and make different videos talking about how silver and gold investing is something that is relatively weak, that there are other investments that you can be involved in that would grow your wealth exponentially, whether it be something like crypto or NFTs or other different types of investments like stocks. And be that as it may, and I'm not in a disagreement over those points, yes, you can certainly stand to gain more money in some of these different higher risk investment vehicles. There is still truth behind the fact that silver and gold are not weak, that they have maintained and if not strengthened their value over the course of time. Over the course of thousands of years, silver and gold has been viewed as a safe haven, a way to save your money. It's something that's been sought after by vast amounts of people. Empires have fallen and risen out of the ashes of silver and gold. And silver and gold continues to be something that a lot of people pour their money into as a way to hedge against inflation and protect their wealth. But when it comes to the strength of investing, when you are talking about strength, a lot of these people, they're by and large talking about the growth potential, the aggressiveness of the particular investment. And in that regard, yes, I would say, yes, you are correct in that manner, in that point. Yes, there are other ways that you can invest your money that would grow your portfolio at a much faster rate. Now, I've had plenty of interviews, many experts, financial analysts, CEOs of various publicly traded companies who know about investing as it relates to silver and gold. And today I'm very excited for another guest on the channel who is going to talk about an investment opportunity that actually has been outperforming silver and gold. And it's really not surprising given the geopolitical landscape of everything that is happening right now, especially as it relates to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. So let's just jump into this interview with a very special guest. And we're going to hop back here after that's done to get some final thoughts. Very excited to have with me today Scott Melby, CEO of Uranium Royalty Corp. Scott, how the heck are you?
Stormy, I'm doing great, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
I got to say again, you've got the patience of a saint. I can't, thank you enough. For those of you that are watching this video, one of my biggest fears is to have a guest on here, and then I go to hit record, and then there's some sort of technical malfunction. So I truly appreciate you hanging in there with me.
No worries, no worries.
So I'm excited to have you on here because there has been a lot of activity in the commodities market, especially with uranium. And I've had experts on the channel before talking about uranium. And right now, uranium stocks have really, kind of exploded. I have to ask you, why? What is going on that's causing this recent explosion of uranium stocks?
Yeah, well, your viewers would understand sort of the normal nuts and bolts fundamentals behind a commodity of supply and demand, and those variables alone were pointing towards a very strong recovery in the uranium price, which has gone through a very long bear market, frankly, close to 10 years following Fukushima. But what we have today is sort of a collision of strong supply and demand fundamentals, strong demand for uranium, really a significant gap between world production and world consumption, a drawdown of inventories, and then we have a number of mega trends and events kind of factor in. Certainly, COVID knocked off a lot of uranium mines, almost half of global production, while it didn't impact the nuclear power plants that ran as essential services. We've had a new investor fund called Sprott Physical Uranium Trust raising literally billions of dollars under an ATM financing to buy and stockpile physical uranium, and has really vacuumed up all the available inventories. But then, of course, Ukraine and Russia, and this would not be an impact to us, but it may be surprising to your viewers that we get 20% of our electricity from nuclear power. It's 55% of our carbon-free energy, but we get almost half of our uranium supplying those nuclear power plants in the U.S. from Kazakhstan, Russia, and Uzbekistan. So same is true in Europe. And so any sort of disruption, whether we ban imports of Russian uranium like we're doing with oil, gas, and coal, or they cut us off in an embargo, or just because of ethical, moral reasons, utilities just stop buying uranium from Russia, which I think is at a minimum the case. We're going to see a huge disruption where Western sources of supply need to ramp up in a hurry to replace lost Russian and Kazakh supplies.
I was going to actually ask you, that was the next question. I was going to ask you about geopolitical tension and, what are the implications of everything that's happening. I know right now, uranium, we are looking at a 10-year high. I think, what are we at, $54 per pound or something along those lines?
Even higher today. We hit $63 a pound, which is up from the low. The cycle low was $17 a pound in November 2017. So we're on quite a roll. And again, it's, I think, on sustained fundamentals and a number of these sort of mega trends. The other one that I failed to mention is probably the biggest one, is just the move towards green energy and realization that we can't get there on wind and solar alone. And nuclear is as clean and carbon-free as wind and solar, but it runs 95% of the time, as opposed to intermittent renewables that run about 30% of the time. So everything's pointing in our favor. For uranium mining companies, it means getting back from treading water to really advancing mine developments to meet the demand. And for royalty companies like ours, it's investing in royalties in existing mines and developments, and also setting up new royalties as a form of finance to get some of these projects around the world into production.
So I was actually going to ask you too, recently your company expanded the physical uranium inventory to 1.34 million pounds. What is the plan with that stored uranium? Is it something that you guys are just kind of like stockpiling, and then as the demand increases, you just kind of sell it off to the...
Yeah, so we are a relatively young company. We listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange just a little over 2 years ago. We got our NASDAQ listing this time last year, which was a huge development. It's quadrupled our trading volumes. But as a young company, we still are working into a phase of receiving cash flows from our royalty and stream portfolio, some 15 different royalties in the portfolio. But until we get to that time, and coming off of a historic bear market in our commodity, we wanted to expose our early shareholders to uranium at near the bottom of the cycle. So we made an investment in a company in London as part of their IPO called Yellowcake PLC, which simply buys and warehouses uranium on behalf of uranium speculators. So we acquired 10% interest in that company at the time, which gave us rights to their contract with the largest producer in the world, Kazatomprom, out of Kazakhstan. So we started to tap into that agreement early last year, and then continued to buy in the open market. And the number that you quoted is actually now higher. We're over 1.5 million pounds of natural uranium concentrates stored in warehouse and in a facility in Canada at an average cost of $42 a pound. So you can see in a $63 market, we've already seen a very nice capital appreciation. So it's all part of our mandate, which is to provide investors exposure to the uranium story. Obviously, royalties and streams have the most torque in terms of our investments, so that's going to be our main focus. But the physical uraniums are a really nice feature that everyone's very excited about.
So for newer people to investing, especially in uranium companies or uranium royalty companies, can you expand on the whole fact that you guys are a pure play uranium royalty company, and what kind of exposure that offers your investors in this sector?
Yeah, I mean, if your viewers are precious base metals investors, they're going to understand the royalty companies in that industry like Franco-Nevada, Wheaton Precious Metals, Sandstorm, Royal Gold. These are companies that don't own the mines, operate the mines, have the huge workforce, landholding costs, but they invest directly in those operations through royalties and streams, which are really just a right to benefit financially from production in that mine or development. So we were the first company to take it to uranium.
Mm-hmm.
It's an industry that really needs a company like this at this time in our cycle, because we're going to need a lot of capital investment around the world, mines in Africa, Australia, Canada, the US, that we want to come alongside with this royalty and stream concept, provide them financing to get into production, and then we take royalties and streams of physical product as the mine produces. So our shareholders get the benefit of a diversified portfolio of these projects that we've run through our filters and our due diligence and selected what we believe are the better companies out there. And we're a bit of an ETF in that regard. If investors don't want to have to pick individual companies and do that amount of due diligence on their own, we do it for them, and hopefully have assembled the best portfolio for their exposure going forward.
So your balance sheet, let's talk about that real quick too. You're sitting on over something like $20 million with almost no debt. Now, I know one of the plans you were talking about was sending a lot of that to me just because we're old friends, but what is it that you're going to do for the money that you're not sending my way?
Yeah, so very healthy cash position, and if you look at sort of the total on the balance sheet of marketable securities, physical holdings, and cash, it's close to $131 million today. So we're significantly cashed up and able to go out and acquire. These companies are real growth platforms. I mean, we may have 15 royalties today, but we want, we're probably about a $500 million market cap as we sit today. I would be surprised if we're not $1 billion company within the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, it just depends on us executing on that strategy. So we're going to go out and acquire additional royalty streams and anything that gives us that uranium exposure. As we sit early in 2022, we have about 6 active files. We just closed a royalty transaction on a mine that is going into kind of hoping to restart here very shortly in northeastern Wyoming.
Okay.
We acquired royalties on the Scar Lake and McArthur River mines in Canada last year. Those are the world's richest, highest grade mines. But we're on the lookout for other projects like that. And so our plates are really full, and hopefully have continuing news and catalysts as we add to the portfolio in 2022.
So where can investors go to learn more about your company and the opportunities that you offer?
Yeah, so in the United States, we trade on the NASDAQ. The ticker symbol is UROY,
Okay.
UROY, and our website is uraniumroyalty.com. Be a lot of good information in there. If you want to learn more about what's happening in nuclear energy, I would encourage you to go to the World Nuclear Association website or the Nuclear Energy Institute, which is the U.S. nuclear energy organization here in the United States. But exciting times. Nuclear is growing leaps and bounds as we try to grapple with cleaner energy, but still keeping the lights on. So we can do both. So it's a great position to be in.
Absolutely. Awesome. Scott, I truly appreciate the time today. And again, for all of your patience. And I am really looking forward to speaking with you again and seeing just the continued success of your company.
Great. Thank you, Storm. It's a pleasure. And we'll obviously stay in touch.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon. Really cool to have Scott Melby on. I really appreciated the time and speaking with him. Now, I have invested in the past in some uranium companies, and I've actually done well with my investments. Not too long ago, I cashed out a lot of my various stocks and my crypto, and I actually did sell some gold because I had a major expense that I needed to deal with, and that was the purchasing of a new vehicle. I bought a brand new truck that I needed because my old vehicle was on the way out. So I did sell off all of my positions there. However, I do recall from the performance of my portfolio that the uranium companies that I had invested in were doing actually relatively well. So they were actually making up some gains and making up for some of the losses on some other positions that I had. So let me know in the comments down below, do you invest in any of these other companies, such as uranium mining companies or uranium royalty companies, such as the one featured on this channel today? Let me know in the comments down below. And I would like to quickly thank these elite channel supporters. And if you haven't already become a channel member, please check out the awesome perks and join today. With that, this is Empire Precious Metals. Until next time, long live the Empire.